Light of the Outsider.
Yeah. And I had it in my reader for a long time. And because it wasn't my Kindle app, it just kept falling off the TBR pile. But I was like, well, I'm interviewing Matt, and let's see if I can finish this before I interview him. And listeners, I will be doing a review of it. It'll go on my Patreon first, and then it'll go wide on my YouTube channel. Phenomenal book. And it really, before we go into my questions about it and about your process in developing it, give me a little pitch for it.
Sure. Light of the Outsider is the story of a group of very different and very desperate people, all of them desperate in their own ways and for their own reasons, who become embroiled in a political scandal in which we'll call him the prince, the infant prince of the rulers of the realm, has been kidnapped. And two of these people have the kid. Some of them are trying to get the kid back for good reasons. Some of them are trying to get the kid for bad reasons. They all have reasons that are absolutely necessary for each one. And behind it all is a shadowy, magical cult that is teamed up with the enemies of the state to ostensibly disrupt things politically across the continent. But of course, there is a deeper and more menacing and more world-threatening motivation behind it all. I would call it if we want to use the parlance of the day, I would say it's a gritty, realistic, low fantasy thriller crime caper mashup. It is first and foremost very character driven. If I want the sexuality of the characters to not be necessarily heteronormative, I can do that because guess what? On their world, there is no such thing as heteronormative. So it's really a playground.
Well, and thanks for the segue, because my next question is, like, one of the things that is consistently the case in your work, and I think I've read almost everything, if not everything, you've written fiction-wise, especially in the Shaper's world, is your ability to create a fully formed, or something that feels fully formed world, even if it's our world, like in the Kaiju series, it's our world plus giant monsters. You still have to
Kaiju universe, dear listeners.
You still have to do world building, even if it's our world plus whatever. What is your approach to world building in the big picture, but also specifically when you sat down to create this fantasy world that's its own planet out there in our actual universe? What was your approach to that?
Big picture, I work in 4 story worlds plus one if you count literary fiction that's not really genre tinged. The Shaper's world, which is fantasy. The Sovereign era, which is alternate history, late 20th century plus superpowers. Daikaiju universe, which it's our world more or less, but since the 1800s, every now and again there are giant monsters. And the Protector cycle, which I barely touched, to be honest. There's one short story, which is urban fantasy, cosmic horror. Urban fantasy these days usually means some sort of romance thing, but no, it's more cosmic horror, noir kind of stuff, but present day or maybe the 90s, close enough. But all of these worlds, all of these story worlds, they all have a single unifying underlying principle behind them. I can't really get into without spoiling the whole shebang. I hope I live long enough to reveal it. You want me to tell you off camera? I'm happy to. And so there is this sort of skeleton key to the whole thing. I've got a document called The Big Picture, just so I can kind of keep track of it and refer back to it in my head. that explains what's the deal. And it's the same foundational deal that makes everything that happens in all four of those story worlds, in terms of like the magic or superpowers or occult forces or whatever, possible. So I know sort of the unifying field, the theory of everything behind it all. Specifically with the Shapers world,
He's sort of the guy that was like this priest of death.
Pagog.
I loved him. Oh, I
He
loved
was fun to
him.
write. He was a
Oh,
lot of fun to write.
but so even like the bad guy who was just like so evil and strange, and but you still, there was still that humanity in this, and these aren't humans, as you've said. They are, but they're not.
Close enough.
Um,
I mean, they are humans. They're just not Homo sapiens.
how do you develop your characters and keep that sort of genuine emotional connection? Because that's the other thing. Like, there's just such an emotional connection for me, and again, that's a sign that you did something right. To these, with your reader, these characters connect emotionally with your reader. Hopefully, how do you accomplish that?
So I guess all I can say, what I'm attempting to do and what I'm thinking about, if the result is that I've accomplished that, freaking great. So first of all, I'm writing for humans.
Yeah,
So humans got to be able to relate, right? No matter what the subject of the story is, humans have to be able to relate. And since, again, speaking specifically about the Shapers world, and they're not our species, but they are a type of human, right? Just like Neanderthal was a type of human, Homo habilis was a type of human.
Mhm.
And so this kind of gets back to what I was talking about before, is we are all hominids, we are all primates. So we all have kind of these core things, pattern recognition, which has over time and over evolution extrapolated itself into the very act of telling stories. But we all, so they are human, right? Everything I write is about what it means to be human, which is really, I mean, come on, that's probably all of fiction.
you would
Right.
hope so, but no.
Well, but I mean, I really do think it's a human reflecting on themselves about being a human. Even if the story is the most superficial tripe, that's just as close to the mirror as that author could get or chose to get.
Yeah.
So, I forget who described writing as using lies to tell the truth, but so everyone has the same. We don't all have the same experiences, but we all know certain things. We all know joy. We all know lust. We all know love. We all know these core basic emotions. And eventually, we all know the experiences that create the emotions. We all know grief. We all know loss. The form those take might be different. But, there's a character in Light of the Outsider who is like just a poster child of survivor guilt. And we may not all feel survivor guilt, but again, you live long enough and you know what loss is, you know what grief is, and you know how it affects you. And even if you don't, you understand it because, hello, we're humans.